We're back with another tier list, and today it's just Alex and James, and we're looking at every Slipknot song ever. James, before we start, remind us of the tiers.
So from top to bottom, we're going to start with the best, followed by It's Great. Our middle ground is called RAGAMUFFIN Approved. We then dip down into Meh, and finally finish off with Big Nope.
Alright, starting first, we got 99's self-titled debut album. Track 1, James, you know the barcode off by heart?
742617000027.
I mean, it is just an intro song, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself here.
Yeah.
But could it be the best album intro ever?
I mean, off the top of my head, intro for Iowa is good.
Yeah.
That sets the pace of that album very nicely.
But I think this equally sets the pace for the album.
This does Volume 3's bit less, Execute on All Hope less.
Even less.
XIX, yes.
Yeah.
And then insert Coin. I don't know.
I think
this is one of the better ones.
It's weird because, thinking about this song in isolation, it is what it is. But because you know it is always followed by Sick, that build-up of tension is enough for me to think that it's great.
That line that's just repeated the whole thing I think is sick. You hear that, and you're like, okay, I'm getting excited.
I'll put it in. I think it's great.
I was thinking that as well. Yeah. So already, intro song, it's great.
Yeah. Alright, track 2, Sick.
Just as a talking point, these first possibly 5 songs are some of the best 5 songs to intro a single album.
Yeah, it's a formidable run of songs, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And this may be like a broken record in a minute, but this, I think, at least has to be on It's Great.
I don't want ourselves to get too carried away, but I would put it in the best.
I'm just trying to think, already preempting what I would put in the best almost, and just thinking, is it that highest tier? And I think we're going to get to it, and you're going to find, and we're going to name drop now, a duality here before I forget. These kind of things are going to end up probably being in that best tier. But then I'm like, where does Sick lie in my head in comparison to these? And I don't quite know if it's in the best, but I feel like I can guarantee it's great.
Do you think we've got other songs on this album that are going to be in the best then?
I do.
Alright, okay. Let's put it in just It's Great for now then.
Speaking of those other songs,
Eyeless.
The drum intro.
Yeah.
It's iconic. It's a banger of a tune. I don't feel like this is one just where we're at the best.
Yeah.
I feel like we're on the borderline between that and It's Great, so I feel like we have to drop it down.
Yeah, we'll drop it down to It's Great then.
So Eyeless, it's great.
Yeah. Wait and Bleed, I think, is the best. I think
we have to put that in the top.
That is going to be in the best, yeah.
It's just such a tune. It's iconic to the band.
It's in the best.
It's in the, yeah.
And then we got Surfacing.
I mean,
I love it. I don't think it's in the best, but I love it. I think it goes in. It's great as well.
I completely agree. Mick, whenever he starts that live, and you see the eyes glare at you as he just has that intro, it's incredible. You can't help but shout along to the chorus when you see it live. Middle fingers are up in the air. It's anthemic, and I definitely agree. It's great.
And track 6, Spit It Out.
There is no doubt that this is going into the best.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like this is the best song on the debut album. The relationship the song has with fans in terms of the Crazy Test live.
Oh, shit, yeah. For the Crazy Test alone, then I think it's in the best.
It's sort of like it needs another tier for just the Crazy Test.
It's definitely one of those songs that, when you first hear it, it's like a point of no return with Slipknot. I think you can play to a non-fan Eyeless or Wait and Bleed or Sick, and they'd be like, that's a good song, that's a great song. But Spit It Out feels like...
it grabs you.
Yeah. It's like an initiation into being a Slipknot fan. Then we got track 7, Tattered and Torn.
I feel like we're going to go into Approved. We're dipping down a little bit. It's a good song. I love the use of the percussion in this. It is just a fairly solid song. It's not one that stands out, but I wouldn't say it's a bad song. Yeah.
I think it suffers from the fact that the 5 songs before it and then the songs that come after it are so good. It just suffers from its placement. But there's nowhere else in the album that you could put it. Do you know what I mean? Purity. So this was on the original release and then taken off for legal reasons, put back on for a reissue. It's part of the live set, and I think it's notable enough for us to talk about it.
Definitely. Fantastic song.
Yeah.
Great song. It's whether I can put it up into the best. I know this is a song that you love, and I don't know if I've got a real you in on this one. I feel definitely it goes into It's Great. I think that's a solid choice for purity.
Yeah, on my own, I think I'd get carried away and put it
It's
in the best, but yeah, all right.
You can agree, purity?
It's great.
It's great.
And we got Liberate, and I think probably the same.
When you hear this live, and they start the intro, and you've got everyone jumping up and down,
Yeah.
I think that is something pretty fucking special. But again, when I'm looking at what we've got in It's Great, and you look at Sick, Isla Surfacing, I feel like Liberate is just under that level.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think, for me, if Me Inside isn't going to get put in It's Great, I don't think Liberate's a better song.
RAGAMUFFIN approved?
RAGAMUFFIN approved. And then we got track 10, Prosthetics. It's weird. I think it is definitely kind of like a good change of pace and a good sort of mood setter and atmosphere.
It's almost like a breather.
Yeah. It's like listening to a horror film, which I love, but at the same time, I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it. I think I would only listen to it in a full album listen. Do you know what I mean?
I get that.
Whereas a lot of the other songs on this album, could listen to on its own.
I do love the story behind this, especially of the fact that they were just kind of sat jamming, like in, I think it was Clown's Pub, where he was working when they were like still coming up, and him just having drumsticks and hitting a keg, and then I think like Mick just riffing over the top of that, and that's literally how the song was born. I think that is something pretty incredible. Do you not know? No. There's a Slipknot fact for you. I definitely feel like it fits in nicely in RAGAMUFFIN approved.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
You happy with that?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Then moving on to No Life.
It is a tune.
It is a big tune.
I'm struggling not to put it in It's Great. Again, I'm just trying to really be harsh with it.
Oh no! I'm dialing you back on this one. I think it's perfect to go in approved.
Perfect to go in approved?
Yeah. I don't think it needs to go any higher than that. It is a brilliant song.
Yeah.
But I think when in the grand scheme of all of the discography,
true. I can see your point. That's very valid.
We can't put every good deep cut in It's Great.
No.
Otherwise, what's the point?
As much as we'd love to.
Yeah.
Okay. No Life. RAGAMUFFIN approved.
Then we got Diluted. I think this could be a meh.
It's nice to see the transition of that from the Interloper demo that you kind of get on the really old release. I feel like we've got to dip down in the tiers a little bit.
I prefer the Interloper demo
to
Diluted.
Yeah.
So I think for that alone, it's got to be in like meh.
Yeah.
If the demo was better than what made the album.
So Diluted. Sorry. You're meh.
Do you think we're going to get any big notes today? I kind of got one in the back of my mind.
I've got one in the back of my mind as well. So
it'll be weird to see if we get the same one.
Let's work our way there and see if we meet.
Yeah. Okay, then we got Only One.
This at least has to be approved. If not for me, it's great. This is a deep cut that does stand out for me. I love Corey's rapping on this. I think you hear so much diversity in his vocals, and like you don't hear much more in the modern day, but it was so much of what tied them into kind of new metal. Is obviously you had some of that and spit it out, but then I think on Only One it's almost stepped up to another level. For me, this is like one of the deepest cuts that I really, really do love. Where do you lie?
I like it. I don't think I love it, but I like it. I would put it in approved, but I don't know. You spoke so passionately then.
I do. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Let's bump it up.
It's great.
We'll put it in. It's
Only
great.
One.
Yeah. And then the last track on the album, Scissors.
Do we include Eeyore into this?
I would. Do it separately or do
No, include it because that's
I
where
think
it originally
you should
comes in.
You should include it in your opinion of Scissors, because in my eyes it's listed as one song.
Yeah,
so
that's
we'll
what my
count it as
thinking
one
is.
song. Even though Eeyore is like a hidden song within it, it's still in Scissors. So
because for me that brings it to approved. I feel Scissors on its own is a bit meh. I feel Eeyore helps lift that song with that ending, and you're finding a really good hidden track, and that then puts it into approved for me.
But then there's 5 minutes of just silence, and then another 4 minutes of them just chatting.
But you get Eeyore.
I think it's the kind of thing that could not be done nowadays, really.
No. But that rewards you with look at the time on an album.
Because if you're sat there thinking, well, this is just fucking silence, but the album's still got 6-7 minutes left, why? That is kind of a cool concept, isn't it?
You've got to commit to the listen.
Yeah.
I feel it goes into approved.
Yeah, alright.
Mostly because of Eeyore.
Yeah. Then we've got Me Inside. That moment when the chorus hits is like a goosebump moment for me. Like,
It builds nicely.
I think they said, like, someone said this the same when they were in the studio. I think it might have even been Ross Robinson. Said, like, hearing Corey track that and get to the chorus, everyone sat up in their chairs and was like, holy shit, what we've got here is amazing. I personally love that song. I wish it was part of the set. But
So where would you put it?
I'd put it in It's Great.
It's great.
Yeah.
Inside?
But this is my favourite Slipknot album. So if I'm being too heavy with it, then dial me in.
It's a great song that you hear every element of Slipknot in it. You can hear every member.
Do you think that then, like, when we get towards the end of this and we look back, do you think it's going to feel out of place then? With other,
A little bit,
with other
yeah.
greats?
In terms of what you're putting into it, I'm trying to feel like we need to be harsher with Slipknot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you want to drop it down, then
I think we're going to RAGAMUFFIN approved. You're looking at me with a unsure, and you want to argue it. I feel like if we had 7 tiers, it would be better for Slipknot, I think.
Yeah. We should have done 9.
Yes.
But all right then. Yeah.
RAGAMUFFIN approved.
Approved. All right. Lastly, then, get this. Give me a tier, James. I think it could go at It's Great.
It's a great song. It's fantastic live. I remember watching the old 2009 download set list, seeing that on it, and absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it's great.
Get this, great song. So moving on to 2001, the second album, Iowa. And we're starting with the intro song, 515.
It's definitely a very, very important track because it's such a good setup for what comes. In that it's almost horrible to listen to in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Do you tie the backstory into that of what happened?
Yeah.
With Sid?
So, am I right in thinking that his grandfather passed away?
Yep.
And he basically just went in the booth and screamed.
Yeah.
And broke down.
And then they played it in reverse, is what you're hearing on the track.
And a part of me thinks, like, for that, just that kind of raw show of emotion, it's got to be great. Do you know what I mean?
I do kind of get where you're coming from, and I think for the most part I'd agree, but...
I think it gives the self-titled The Barcode song a run for its money.
You think?
Yeah.
I feel it's between these two.
Yeah. I think if we can put the other one in It's Great, then I think we could put
515 into there as well.
Put 515 in there.
Okay, I'll go with you on that. 515. Great. Then go on to track 2. People Equal Shit.
The best in it.
There is no doubt that this is going to the top tier.
Yeah.
I mean, you use this. It's been played so many times as an opener. When we saw them at Download 2019, they went from 515 straight into this, and you saw the curtain pull, and it was just anger hitting you straight away. The ferocious toms, just Corey's scream. Again, the crowd's shouting along with this.
It's everything that's good about Slipknot in one song.
Yeah. It is
I mean, I know that we're not within the tier gonna organise them, but you could make a claim for this being the number 1 Slipknot song.
That's a bold statement.
One of them.
I think it's up there.
It's top 3, I think.
I would definitely agree with the fact that this is the best song on the album.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether I'd say it's arguably one of the best Slipknot songs is a bit of a push for me. Again, it's all choice, it's all personal. But yeah, definitely, this is in the best tier.
We both love Slipknot so much, so I can't tell if we're getting a bit too overexcited and just...
Well, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know. Either way, we're going to move on to track 3, Disaster Piece.
It's another one of the best, I think.
It is, that intro. I hear that intro and I feel dirty. Because the lyrical content, the darkness in this song, I feel like I need a shower after listening to it.
Yeah. I think this album has some of his best lyrics as well. Just so, like, visceral. Like,
it is.
People make noises when they're sick. That's just horrible, isn't it?
We can get into more of the lyrics if you want to.
We'll leave it there, I think.
I'll say just go and look up the first verse, people, and you're seeing Corey at his finest. So yeah, that's in the best as well, and we're going to follow that up with My Plague. Where are we putting it?
I think it should go in It's Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Any reasons in particular?
Great song.
Great song? Yeah, that's fine. I feel it's a slightly overrated Slipknot song.
Yeah.
Because I know it was a single that was released as well. It is good. I'm wondering if it's great. And this may be a slightly unpopular opinion. I would probably put My Plague in RAGAMUFFIN approved.
I guess if I saw Slipknot and they didn't play it, I wouldn't be heartbroken.
No.
So I guess I could live with it being an approved.
There
Yeah.
are other songs I'd definitely rather see in a live set list. It's got a good chorus. That for me is the only memorable part of this song.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think also as well with the songs that surround it, it is probably the weakest one of like the first sort of 6, 7.
Again, you have some very strong
Yeah.
songs to open up an album, a bit like the debut.
Okay, yeah, I'll live with it being in approved.
So then we go to Everything Ends.
I'd put it in approved as well, actually. I think.
Yeah.
I don't love this song.
I think it's a very solid song.
It's solid.
I don't know if it's good enough to be in It's Great, but I feel it's right at the top tier of approved.
Yeah.
Again, this is where if we had more tiers, I think it would be even more diversified. But yeah, I think this is a very top tier approved song.
Yeah.
So on to track number 6, the Heretic Anthem. I feel this has to go into the best.
Yeah.
If you're 555, then I'm 666.
Yeah.
That all alone on itself, hearing people shout that along is something incredible. It's an iconic song of this album. It's Slipknot in a nutshell, really, as well.
There's something about being in a room full of people all singing that chorus that's very. It's so unifying, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
extremely.
there are people at Slipknot shows that are all walks of life and all different backgrounds, and then when you get into that chorus, I mean, the whole show is like that, but that
Yeah.
chorus especially.
Moving on to Gently.
I love Gently.
So do I.
I very often find myself watching I think it's the Sonisphere live performance where it's like
Almost like snow's coming down, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
and it's just insane. And then the first half is like lulls you into this space, and then it just absolutely kills you when when it rips in.
I would say it's like one of the top tier of It's Great. I think it fits in very nicely now. I wouldn't put it into the best, looking at what we've got in there as well at the moment, but I do think it's on that top tier of It's Great.
I think it makes the best use of Corey's old kind of vocal style, because obviously I think we'll talk about it a bit more when we get to Volume 3, but he switched up how he screams.
Yeah.
The rawness of like the latter half of this song is like unparalleled in terms of like vocal performances.
I agree.
By anyone else.
It's great.
It's great.
So next track, Left Behind.
It's one of the best, isn't it?
It's got to be up there.
Yeah.
The music video is fantastic. Seeing them when they're playing in the rain, and you're just seeing Clown clawing at like his brain exposed in his new mask. That's something iconic.
One of the sickest riffs of all time as well.
Oh yeah.
And what's weird about it is, this is a bit of a tangent, but like watching Jim Root play, I've seen him play like guitar playthroughs of it, and it almost, with no vocals, has like a surfer rock vibe to it. It's so weird.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, if you can find a Jim Root playing it without Corey's vocals on, it has this completely different energy to it it's so fun, and it makes me pay attention to the riff a lot more now.
The Shape.
Difficult one. I love the chorus. Love the chorus, but just not that fussed on the verses.
I quite like the change up in them. I think it is quite nice. I wouldn't say it's a top tier song. I'd happily pop it into approved, I think.
Yeah, that was my natural
Inclination.
Yeah.
Yeah? What about then following on with I Am Hated? I think it's going to It's Great. It's an angry song.
Yeah.
It's fantastic for that. You can just put headphones in and you want to scream. Yeah, I think it's definitely a great song. It's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We then move on to Skin Ticket.
I like this one. Eerie vibe to it, innit?
Yeah. I love the use of the China symbol in the ride.
Very complimentary to what comes before it. I'd put it in It's Great.
I'd happily agree with you. Cool. So Skin Ticket is great. How about New Abortion?
This is where the album kind of trails off for me a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love it. I love the album as a whole, but yeah, sometimes when I'm listening through, this is where I
Start to peter off a little bit.
So I would put it in meh.
In terms of this album, potentially the weakest song, yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe Metabolic might be a little bit weaker.
I feel like I'm going to have to
New
do a
Abortion,
compromise with you.
Yeah.
I'll go with your New Abortion in meh.
Mhm.
But when we're going to get onto that now with it, Metabolic, I think that goes into approved.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't put it any higher.
No. I think it is a very good song. I think it's underrated, and it sets up, like, going to this big ending with the title track Iowa very, very nicely. And so that's why I put Metabolic in approved. So then on to the title track, Iowa.
It is good, isn't it? It's a tough listen.
I feel like you've got to commit to the listen, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And hearing just some of Paul's bass really pull through in the mix, I think is something really quite special. Maybe it's something I appreciate more post everything that's happened post his death. Listening back on this album, I really appreciate that a lot more. I think I would feel like I'd happily put Iowa in approved.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't put any higher, but for what it is, it's very good. It's incredible, yeah. Right, next up, we got Volume 3, Subliminal Verses. So starting with Prelude 3.0. Personally, I pretty much don't listen to this when I listen to the album. I just start straight with The Blister Exists.
I'm 50-50 on it. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I will listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a nice for a builder into Blister Exists, I think. As a song on its own, I don't think it stands up very well. And I would tend towards putting this under meh.
Yeah, definitely. The Blister Exists, however, phenomenal.
Amazing tune. The snare part, in particular with the extra percussion, is fantastic. I think this is a song that goes into It's Great.
Yeah, also because I can't think about this song without remembering Corey Taylor's most epic windmill headbang of all time.
Oh, that's fantastic. I think it's like
so
Soundwave in
insane,
Australia,
yeah.
isn't it? And it's
insane.
amazing.
So, yeah. Then we got 3-0.
I feel it's a slightly underrated song, but it's still not massively special. So for me, I'm feeling like borderline approved. It's great.
I would comfortably put it in approved.
Yeah?
I think a lot of this album, I feel like All Hope Has Gone is a bit better, but a lot of this album suffers from Corey's new screaming, which I'm not that fond of.
No?
I feel like as we've kind of gone on past this album, he's kind of landed in a bit more of a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But this album was very, very different, wasn't it?
Mm.
And I'm not that fussed on it. And so for me, with this album, the song has to be good enough to overshadow that. Otherwise, it just doesn't appeal to me.
So approved?
Approved, yeah. Track 4, Duality. One of the best.
I don't really think we need to say much about this.
Yeah.
Duality is an epic of a tune, arguably their best song. It's going to be up in that discussion. I mean, when you see it live, you're going to want to see a clown with a baseball bat hitting a keg. There's no doubt about that in the slightest. You're going to be singing along to the chorus. The music video is exceptional. It's always been the one growing up that I was like, if I could be in a music video, I want to be in Duality. Yeah. It's iconic. Yeah. The best.
I don't need to say any more. You know, I know, the listener knows. Yeah.
You all know.
Everybody knows. One of the best. Opium of the People. Probably one of the most irritating guitar riffs to open a song I've ever heard.
Really?
I don't like it.
You really don't like it?
Nah.
I think it's an approved song.
I'd put it in meh.
Put it in meh, that bad? You really can't.
Yeah.
Don't like that, do you?
I really struggle with that song.
I'll go with you. I'll give it some leeway.
Especially in the grand scheme of the rest of the album.
Yeah, I can see that point.
And the rest of their discography. Then we've got Circle.
If you're going through their discography in order, this is the first time you're hearing anything really acoustic from Slipknot.
Yeah, it is the first taste of that, isn't it?
And it's like a nice switch up, and you're hearing a different side to them. You can still hear that Slipknot sound in instrumentals, but it's softer.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Vermilion Part 2 is a straight up ballad.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a Slipknot ballad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's still a darkness to it, and even, I get in a way, like a heaviness, even though it is so calm.
Yeah.
That there's this underlying sense of just dark. It's still Slipknot undeniably.
Yeah. I'd happily put it into approved.
Yeah, definitely. Next is Welcome. What do you think of Welcome then?
So I love the drum intro. It's fantastic. I remember seeing a clip of Danny from Neck Deep replicating it as part of his sound check, and I thought that was absolutely incredible. That was something fantastic. It's a great song. I really like the progressions throughout it. Good chorus. To me, this is actually a fairly strong song on this album. It's hard. I don't feel like I can put it into It's Great, but it's a very top tier approved, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it any higher than approved, but it is a very good song, especially on this album.
Yeah.
I'm not all that fond of this album as a whole, so I like that song.
Yeah.
Track 8, Vermilion.
It's really, really good song. it's not one I really particularly am fussed in seeing live. It's a bit like where you said earlier about My Plague. It's kind of like on a similar vein to me. It's like a fairly big-ish Slipknot song, but it's not one that if I don't see it in the set list, I'm not too bothered by.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a nice change of pace and mood. For what it is on the album, it's incredible.
I still feel like it would go into approved.
Okay. Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Then we got Pulse of the Maggots. When I was younger, loved this song. But as I've gotten older, I've liked it less and less.
I agree.
Feels very basic.
Yeah?
As a kid, I thought, this is the fucking coolest song ever. With the kind of like air raid siren, like, I don't know.
This is a year where hope fails you.
Like, we're about to go into war and he's giving me a speech, but I don't know, now when I listen to it, I'm just a bit, like, unbothered.
I kind of want to get past the intro to get to the song.
Yeah, and that's not a good sign.
No.
So...
Where do you think?
Is meh too harsh?
I think it's too harsh.
Oh, it's approved then.
It's approved. Pulse of the Maggots, approved.
Before I forget, I know you. This is your favourite Slipknot song.
This isn't just my favourite Slipknot song. I think this is my favourite song of all time.
Oh, wow. Big statement then. Well, it's got to go in the best then.
It has to go in the best. One of my best ever live experiences was seeing this at Download Festival in 2019. It's an incredible song. This is the song that really got me into Slipknot, especially with this being on Guitar Hero 3. It became, I guess, just a massive part of my life and kind of pulled me into a lot of metal music purely from this song. So I feel like I owe a lot to it. It is an absolute tune. You want to sing along with the chorus.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else I can say to justify like how much I love this song.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's one bit in like the last chorus where Jim Root plays like this octave lead line, and it's such a it gives me chills when I hear it. I love it so much. Great song. Yeah, one of the best. Then we got Vermilion Part 2.
See, I prefer this version.
Yeah?
I would tend towards putting this into It's Great. I think, like we said with Circle a little bit, you hear that different side to Slipknot, but after like so much aggression from them as well, this really is a lot softer, and it kind of follows on from the story, and you hear like a lot of those melodic parts carry across really nicely from Vermilion to Part 2. And yeah, I'm a big fan of this song. I would tend towards It's Great.
Yeah, I would probably put it in the same, you know. I don't think I've got anything to add.
No?
No. Track 12, The Nameless.
See, I quite like the song. It's, again, I think a stronger one from this album. I don't think it's good enough to go into It's Great. I think it would go into Approved. It is one that I'd like to see played live eventually, to be honest. I'm not too keen massively on Corey's vocals. I love a lot of the switch up in the instrumentals. Yeah, I think that would just give me a lot of energy and a lot of fun live.
Yeah, I think it's one of those songs that would be better live now with how he performs his vocals.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel the same. Instrumentally, it's strong, but vocally, it's not. Of the last three that we got left in this album, it's probably the one I like the most.
Yep. RAGAMUFFIN approved?
Yeah. Then we got The Virus of Life.
Right. This is where we're starting to verge on some rough territory on Slipknot on these last two songs, I think.
Do you reckon we're approaching Big Nope status?
You know what? I'm deliberating it. I'm having a battle in my head.
Because I just think to myself, how many times when I'm listening to this album do I actually listen to this song? And it's probably under 2% of the time.
I look under what we've got in there with Diluted New Abortion, Prey 3.0 and Opium of the People. And I listen to those songs more than I listen to The Virus of Life. And to be honest, Danger Keep Away.
Yeah.
I'm very much leaning towards lumping them both in. And I think that we're having two big notes here to finish off Volume 3.
That album could end at The Nameless.
Yeah, I agree. And it'd be a nice 11-song album. Or 12-song album.
12 with the intro, yeah.
And it would fit in nicely.
Binham, Big Nope.
So we're on to the fourth album, All Hope Is Gone. I'm going to start with the intro song, Execute. What are you thinking?
Well, nothing really happens.
No, it's a lot of static,
Yeah.
a lot of build-up, and all for nothing.
I mean, you talk about the first 2 albums with their intro songs and how iconic and the setup that they have for what's to come. And this is just like, I've put in a blank VHS into the tape and it's not doing anything.
I think there's only one place this can go, and it's Big Note.
Yep.
So it does feel like they got themselves into a hole, and there's a pattern now of just intro songs they had to do up until this point, and they kind of just added this one in because they had to. It's not actually a standout song, I think, so I think that just adds to it being in Big Note. So on to track 2, Gematria, The Killing Name, the first proper song of the album. What do you think?
I'm just not that fussed on this song.
No?
No.
I feel it has got an underrated riff for the album. And I remember seeing a studio video of Mick playing it live, and it was sick.
Yeah, but I just think to myself, do I want to hear it live? And I don't.
I'm getting honest, but you look at the most of it all live has gone, and are you going to hear it live? No.
Well, I don't think it's going to get tiered very well.
So where would you put this then?
I'd put it in meh.
Really?
Yep. And that's going to be a theme for the rest of the album.
Oh, that's
For me, anyway.
for you.
But I know that you like
This
album.
is I like it. I think more than most people. I think the
Yeah.
average person. I think it's their weak. Oh, that's actually. Is it? It's definitely one of their weaker albums, and I think it is between this or The Grey Chapter.
Yeah.
But this is a song I do quite like, so I'm gonna push for this Ragamuffin approved.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. Sulphur.
It's great.
It's great. It is a great song. Definitely one of the better ones on this album for sure.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it other than it bloody rips.
Great chorus.
Yeah,
Really good chorus.
That is one thing about this album that is good.
There are some
Probably some of their best choruses.
really good chorus moments, aren't there? Well, I mean, leads perfectly into Psychosocial. I think this arguably, definitely it's great.
Definitely it's great.
I think it's the best song on the album.
Okay. If it wasn't so overplayed, it would be in the best.
I can see that.
But
this is a
it's
song
like-
you've got to credit to Slipknot though, that in terms of reaching a wider audience of like people I knew in particular who weren't massive like fans and kind of got into them, this was the first song they heard that was like, oh, this is Slipknot. And they had that like preconceived notion in their head of what they thought it was, and they heard Psychosocial and thought, oh, okay, this is a little bit different, I can listen to some of this. And that's a big part for them.
I think for a lot of hardcore Slipknot fans like us, I think maybe we're actually just a little bit jaded with listening to it.
Yeah.
Which is probably what's making us a bit reserved. But it should actually be in the best.
On to Dead Memories.
I think you could put it in the best.
I was leaning towards it's great. I don't think it's on the same tier as Psychosocial. I do think Psychosocial is, I hold it in a higher regard. I think Dead Memories again is one of the much better songs on this album. To me, it goes on par a little bit with Sulphur and goes into It's Great.
Yeah, actually, yeah, okay, I agree.
You can go with that. I think it's quite a cool music video. I like the concept behind that as well, going in the different
One of my
rooms.
favourite Slipknot videos, actually.
Yeah. We're then going on to Vendetta.
Just doesn't feel... I don't know.
I love the drum intro. I want to make that point first of all.
Yeah. My issue with this album is it just feels... Well, there's just not a lot of feel. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there's a whole lot of weight behind a lot of these songs. The same that you would with Iowa. And even some of Volume 3 has, a bit of punch to it. Listening to it feels like a pretty safe album from them. And this is one of those songs that's...
Looking at the album as a whole, though, I think this is slightly better than some of the other ones that we've got coming up.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm leaning towards putting Vendetta into Ragamuffin approved.
Yeah.
It's still one...
Yeah.
If I can go through that run of going from Gematria to this, it's
strong.
fairly
Yeah,
strong
it's
in
strong.
terms of at least this album in particular and in the grand scheme of things. So I think Vendetta can fit into Ragamuffin approved.
Yeah.
Butcher's Hook.
Again, I feel like it's even of a worse offender than Vendetta for being a bit lifeless.
Yep.
That's
feel like
all
this
I
one
can
will go
really
into
say.
meh.
This can go into meh, yeah.
I like the use of the China. That's my only draw from this song.
Oh yeah, but better songs have used China.
Yeah, true. So after that, we've got Gehenna.
I could live with this being in Big Nope.
I feel like I could as well. This isn't a song that I would say I listen to a lot.
Yeah.
it just feels like there's not a lot happens in the song as well. And again, I love like being taken on a journey with the song. It feels flat, and like it doesn't really go anywhere. It's quite stagnant. So I think I can agree with you, Gehenna. Big note. Next, this Cold Black.
It feels like loads of old Iowa demos redone. Do you know what I mean?
I can
like
get that vibe.
Discarded Iowa ideas that they've rehashed, except they don't have the youthful energy and anger that they had on Iowa.
It's
Do you know what I mean?
tired.
It's a tired version of an Iowa song.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If it had been on Iowa at the time, with just 2 or 3 more BPM higher, I'd probably quite like it.
Where does it lie on you in the scale then?
Probably meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that one. This Cold Black, meh.
But I do think
It had potential.
Let us know in the comments, but I think this is an album for a lot of fans will put a lot of songs in a sort of meh,
That lower category.
unbothered category, yeah.
Yeah. We're then heading towards the last couple. We've got Wherein Lies Continue.
This one I like.
Yeah,
This one I would put in RAGAMUFFIN approved.
I can agree with that. It is fairly enjoyable. I think, yeah, it picks up ever so slightly here for the latter part of the album. So, Wherein Lies Continue, RAGAMUFFIN approved. On to a big one here, Snuff.
It's one of the best, isn't it?
It has to be. It's not one you're ever going to really see live. It's one that I'd love to see be played more in a set list, because I think you'd see a very different side to Slipknot performing Snuff, and enough fans know it, enough more mainstream people maybe more know it,
Yeah.
and I think it would be an interesting one to add in. Whether it ever does, I don't know.
I know what you mean, but at the same time, I fully understand why it's not there, because a Slipknot show is wall-to-wall chaos and insanity and energy, and like if they wanted to drop the tempo, they've got songs like Vermilion Part 1
Yep.
or things like that they can kind of change it up a bit with Kill Pop, those sort of vibe. For the song, for what it is as a song, it's one of the best Slipknot songs.
Finally, the title track to close out the album, All Hope Is Gone. I'm leaning towards approved. A lot of people like downplay the song, I feel, and I quite enjoy it.
I really enjoy it. I could be swayed with putting in it's great.
But I think it's a solid
But
approved.
it's a solid approved.
It is a good song.
So moving on to the Grey Chapter. Notably the first album without Paul and Joey. Yeah. Start with XIX.
We're back on form with a better album intro here. I thought the music video was quite cool. Clown kind of putting a different spin on his directing with it, and I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I really like this song. I love the line, I don't want to get back up, but I have to, so it might as well be today.
Yeah.
And that definitely feels like for the band and the fans.
It's almost like a war cry in
It's
a way,
like
but everyone getting
after,
together.
After what they've been through with losing Paul and then Joey leaving, felt like we have to just get on with it now.
Yeah.
So I love that song. I would put it in. It's great. Track 2, Sarcastrophe. When I talk about like the lack of energy on All Hope Is Gone, I do think this album on songs like this make up for it.
Yep.
The other ones we'll get into later, but yeah, I like that this starts just quite ferociously.
Got a great tempo.
Yeah.
It was great for getting the crowd moving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good one live. I think they've dropped it off the set list more recently, which is quite sad. But again, you look at the catalogue they've got, it's fantastic. I can definitely put this into It's Great.
Yep.
I think Sarcastrophe definitely fits up into there.
We've then got AOV.
Again, it's very ferocious, it's fast paced, it's like you can tell they're older, but it still has like, we're still ferocious, we still have this energy, we're still here, guys.
It's almost like they know that they're older and the energy is more focused.
It's more driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas with Iowa and Slipknot, the energy is let loose, whereas this is like, we've only got 5 minutes of energy, but it's going to be so focused and pointed so perfectly.
This is another one I feel like it goes into It's Great.
Yeah.
It's a really strong start to the album.
Then track 4, The Devil and I.
I feel like we're going up to the best here for this one.
Yeah, 100%.
It is an absolute tune. It's fantastic live. It was kind of part of like a rebirth, I think, of Slipknot. When you didn't know what was going to happen with this band, and Negative One came out followed by this.
It was like them saying, yeah, we're still the best fucking band in the game, in case you forgot, in case you doubted us. The best song on the album?
Arguably one of the best songs
Arguably,
of the album.
yeah.
I think it goes between this and Negative One.
Yeah.
I think but then we get into it, Custer's up there, I think that's fantastic.
But as a sort of re-emergence from the hardship they went through, and also maybe mixed responses to All Hope Is Gone. I know commercially it did very well, but like amongst fans, people don't love it, do they?
No.
And this was definitely like, a re-emergence for them.
Definitely though, The Devil and I, it goes into the best.
Track 5, Kill Pop. I like this sort. Like, here's the thing. Sometimes when Slipknot do like a sort of change of pace song for an album, it doesn't always land for me, but this one does. I like this one.
I kind of agree with you. It's a good song. It is a very good song, but it's not one that when I heard live I was too happy by, to be honest. Again, I felt there was other songs I'd much rather hear live, and it's good for what it does, but for then again, a lot of it comes with Slipknot is that live experience, because that's so much of a part of who they are as a band. That kind of let me down a little bit.
Yeah,
and I feel like seeing a song perform live can either really boost it into something else, or it can kind of really change your view of it. I'm going to tend towards RAGAMUFFIN approve for Kill Pop.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So track 6, Skeptic.
It's hard because I don't rate it as a fantastic song, but it felt like they needed to do some kind of big tribute to Paul. And as a tribute, it's a really, really good song. The lyrics, you can really feel like what Corey's going through, and when he said like in interviews that he's got different feelings towards it, but like the sadness, the hurt, the anger towards like not being able to help and try and do something about it, you can really feel that conveyed across really, really strongly. Yeah, I think it's got at least going approved for me.
I could put it up.
Could put it up?
Yeah.
Into It's Great?
Yeah.
Argue your case.
I think it would have been quite easy for them to do a tribute song to Paul that was like a slow, delicate ballad. It's one of the most like honest representations of grief that I think I've heard in a song.
You sway me. We'll get it. We'll put it into It's Great.
Track 7, Lech. I'm not too keen on this one.
It's not one that stands out to me, to be honest. It is a bit more forgettable. I'm leaning towards like a meh for this. I don't think it's a big nope.
It's not a big nope, but it's definitely lost in the shuffle of a 14-track album.
Definitely. Again, we're looking at a little bit like we said with Volume 3.
Yeah.
You could cut a few songs off on some of these albums and it'll make them so much stronger. And I think this is another one of those.
Then we've got Goodbye.
It's a very moving song. I don't think it's a great song. I'm going to lean towards approve for it.
Yeah, I would put it in approved as well. So track 9, Nomadic. Doesn't really stand out for me.
Again, there are much stronger songs on this album.
Yeah.
I feel. It lies on a similar vein to Lech with me, I think. It's not a poor song. It's not going down into big note. But it, again, is one on this. It's a little bit meh. It's forgettable. I could have done without it.
Yeah, I agree. Track 10, The One That Kills the Least. This would be a song that if I could, I would just cut. So I think for that reason, it should be a big nope.
I agree with that. Again, it's easily forgettable on this album. They could have cut it down.
Then we've got Custer.
I feel for me, we're going to go on two ends of the spectrum. We're going from a big nope, and I may be overemphasising a bit here. I'm going to lean towards the best. This, when it's performed live, is incredible. Having everyone just screaming some of the lyrics together is something pretty special. It's got that energy about it, and da 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 da, and then Corey doing it faster, and then that back and forth of that call and response when they're doing it live with the crowd is quite cool, and they go straight into the song. For me, this is a standout on this album. Between Negative One, Devil and I, Custer's up there for me.
I just don't know if it can go in the best, but it is great.
Definitely great.
Definitely great.
I feel then if we're doing that, it's a top tier great.
Actually, yeah, fuck it. Put it in the best. Then we've got Be Prepared for Hell. A sort of transition song, really. But what it does is give you a rest off the Custer and kind of build into Negative One. It does it perfectly. So,
But then as a song on its own?
but I wouldn't listen to it on its own. I would listen to it in the context of a full album because of the fact that it's a transition.
But then if we talked about like Prelude 3.0 and Execute as a song on their own?
But then we talked about the self-titled opener and how it relates to Sick.
In this debate then,
Look at this little
jostling back and forth here, where do you put...
I put it in approved.
In approved?
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you it.
But then we've got the Negative One. And I would make a case for this being in the best.
100% agree.
I remember still now when they launched or maybe relaunched the website with this on
Yep.
in your room in our old house, waiting for the countdown to finish to listen to this song and watching the video together, and just being blown away of like they're back.
I remember losing my shit as soon as you hear that intro with the guitar, and again, it's frenetic. It's like old Slipknot are back, and it's in your face straight away, and it's fast paced. It's amazing. It's a great song live as well.
Yeah, the best.
It has to be done.
And then to close out the album, If Rain Is What You Want. I'm not that fussed on this song. It'd probably go meh for me.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's a little bit forgettable. I could have finished with a -1. And had a really, really strong album there afterwards.
It's a meh.
So then we did have an individual single release between Point 5 The Grey Chapter and We're Not Your Kind. We had All Out Life released. Came out of nowhere. What do you think of it?
Well, yeah, it came out of nowhere and it hit like a fucking truck.
Yep. Like the bus they ride in the video.
Yeah, it was great. I was disappointed that they didn't feature in the video, but I love it. It lost a bit of its shine when it became the NXT theme song for a while. It's great.
I can definitely go with that. I can vibe with that. It's great. It's an absolute tune. Again, it kind of led on nicely after like the -1 and this like fast old Slipknot are kind of back again. Definitely, it's a great song. Album number 6, We're Not Your Kind. We're going to go with Insert Coin.
I think it's a similar sort of feeling about this to Execute. I think it probably does it better than Execute.
Does that justify enough to go into Meh instead of Big Nope?
Put it this way, do you listen to it the same way that you would to go into Unsainted, the same way that you listen to Barcode into Sick?
No.
Or 515 into People?
No.
No. Well, then it should go in Big Nope then, shouldn't it?
So then we're going to get on to a very, very good tune. We're going to go on to Unsated.
I think one of the best. Yeah, I mean, the video was just a look at all our shiny new masks. But that's whatever, isn't it?
I feel like every album cycle,
of course now, isn't it?
Every album cycle need a video. Devil and Live were the one before. It's a good song when they do it live as well.
When the chorus is played in the intro, when they played it at Download, the whole crowd was there.
Yep.
Just belting it. It's one of those moments in a gig where everyone gets swept up in exactly the same thing all at once.
Yep.
You know, it's not, you know, sometimes you get a song where there's a pit here and a pit there and different parts of the crowd are responding differently.
Everyone for this.
But everyone is all in unison at the same point with this song.
The best?
Fat chorus, yep, the best.
So, Birth of the Cruel.
I think with this album, it's so up and down for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that fussed on this one.
I think it's an alright song. I'd lean towards Approved.
I'd lean towards Meh, so I don't know, where's the middle ground there for us?
I like the drumming in this. I remember seeing a video of Jay doing that, and that really kind of like kept me like intrigued with the song, I think. And you see, I think him really getting to shine a little bit more with that. His tom work on it's fantastic.
I would choose it quite comfortably over a lot of other songs in Meh, so yeah, I think Approved is probably the right place then.
We then go on to a little bit of an interlude, Death Because of Death.
This is where I might sound like a bit of a hypocrite, because in other videos on our channel, I've gone crazy for interludes in albums. The Loathe album felt like every interlude was like world building, and do you know what I mean, and added to it. Whereas with this album, it feels like they're just there.
It depends, because you're looking at interludes in the grand scheme of an album or as an individual song.
Does it serve the album by being there?
Yes.
Yes. Doesn't do it well, but it does serve the album.
Is it a song you're going to listen to by choice on its own?
No. And also I think with an interlude, there's an element of consideration for what comes either side of it. And I can listen to Nero Forte without this song.
So can I.
So there's the justification.
I'm leaning towards a Big Nope.
Yeah, okay.
As you said, it leads into Nero Forte. I'm going to jump straight in here. The best. This has quickly become one of my favourite Slipknot songs. Like I previously said, Before I Forget is my favourite song of all time. And just kind of narrowing it down, is my favourite Slipknot song, obviously. This then comes in number 2. Straight away, as soon as I heard this, it jumped straight up there. It had that kind of Before I Forget vibe for me. It's energetic and it is absolutely fucking incredible live.
It was a massive standout. I remember on release day, on Twitter and shit, everyone was talking about this song more than the singles, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Everyone's reaction was, "Oh my god, have you heard Nero Forte?" And
I
for
think
good reason.
it almost led them to ending up releasing it as a single with a video
Yeah,
eventually.
it in a way it did eclipse a lot of the rest of the album.
Yeah.
But for good reason. 'Cause it's one
There's
of the
no
best
doubt
songs.
it goes into the best. So, Critical Darling.
I like it. Does it go in It's Great? Do you think?
I'm going to lean towards it. I find it really groovy, and it flows out of Nero Forte quite nicely. I can listen to those songs back to back really well and enjoy them both. So I think I wouldn't put it on the same tier as Nero Forte because I think that's so incredible. But I do really like Critical Darling. I think it is one of the better songs on this album.
Yeah, let's put it in It's Great.
So we move on to A Liar's Funeral.
I like it. Kind of gives me a similar sort of vibe to Gently in a way. This kind of dark, brooding eeriness to it that I really like. Yeah, I dig it. Ragamuffin approved.
Ragamuffin approved?
Yeah, Ragamuffin approved.
So after that, we go to Red Flag. I think it's a tune.
So much fun, this song. Yeah, what a riff. I would put it in It's Great, I think.
I can 100% agree with that. Again, another standout of this album. Really, really fun. And it's one, eventually, I'd quite like to see it live. So we move on to What's Next. And to me, this just feels like lift music.
It is weird. I feel two ways about it. One of me feels like it's kind of funny.
I quite like it in a way.
I like that it kind of takes you out of it.
Yeah.
And takes you out of the heaviness and the kind of all-encompassing feeling of a Slipknot album. But at the same time, I think, well, maybe that is the wrong thing to do. Because maybe, you know, when you're in an album, do you really want to be kind of distracted that much? I think credit where it's due, because they're 6 albums in now. They can do what they want. I like it. Ragamuffin approved.
So we go on to the last few songs on the album we get into here with Spiders.
I didn't like it initially.
Grew on you?
It grew on me a lot, but first listen, I was like, what is this shit?
I do love the 7/8 feel and the piano.
Yeah, you can hear like the tubular bells, like from The Exorcist, like the inspiration is there. That it's again like horror music.
And a really intriguing solo.
Oh yeah, really cool solo.
I feel top tier approved. Whether I converged on It's Great, I'm wondering here a little bit, to be honest, because I do really like this song.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I would happily put it in approved.
So we go on to Orphan.
Not that fussed really. It's a pretty by the numbers Slipknot song. The chorus doesn't stand out enough for me, especially in comparison to some of their big choruses. You know, maybe meh.
I'm thinking, mate, it's one that if I was to not have one of these songs potentially on the album, or I'd skip over,
Yeah.
it would be one of these. It would
Or
be
I feel
Orphan.
like you could play this song to me and I would struggle to think of what it was called or what album it was from. I'd be like, oh, well, it's definitely Slipknot, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't place it. Couldn't place it.
Okay, so I think Meh's a good point for
Yeah.
it to go into. So then we move on to My Pain.
I don't think it really adds anything to the album.
I think it's my least favourite on this album.
Yeah.
I'm very much tempted to go for this to go into Big Nope.
I've said before, like, I don't like super long albums. I don't think an album really needs to be any longer than 11 songs, 12 songs at most. And
Would
so
you cut
when you
this?
get into like 14 songs, for me it's like, well, is this really adding anything new or exciting or interesting to my listen? Or is it just in the way of me getting to Solway Firth? Which is what I feel like with this song.
Big Nope.
Big Nope.
So after a Big Nope of My Pain, we'll go to Not Long for This World. And I agree with your point. It's a little bit like, it's in the way to Solway Firth. But I do think it's a slightly better song than My Pain, so I think I'm going to verge on a meh for this.
Yeah, I'm happy with Meh. The same sort of feeling as Orphan, you know. It's undeniably Slipknot, but it's not one that I'm rushing to listen to.
And finally, ending on quite a banger, to be fair, if I can say so. Solway Firth.
The best closing song to a Slipknot album.
100% agreed on that. Definitely.
Yeah, it's the best, isn't it?
I think it has to. It's fantastic live. I love the mixing they did with the music video with the boys.
Yeah.
That kind of got me into the show after seeing that as well. Amazing live.
I also I like that he kind of does that weird like accent with his vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, just something different. That
Today,
yeah, nice.
up on this hill.
Beautiful. That, for listeners, that was James doing that, not Corey Taylor. I know.
You wouldn't have guessed.
You wouldn't have known. So, that's it.
We finally got there.
We got there. Bloody hell, that took a while.
Fair play to you if you managed to get to the end of this.
Yep. James, remind us of the best Slipknot songs.
So the best Slipknot songs, according to us: Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out, People Equal Shit, Disaster Piece, The Heretic Anthem, Left Behind, Duality, Before I Forget, Psychosocial, Snuff, The Devil and I, Custer, The Negative One, Unsainted, Nero Forte, and Solway Firth.
That's an incredible night.
That's a download set right there.
Yeah, that's a set better than most bands could put on with their entire discography.
So, we've reached the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, these are just our opinions, you know. Don't get too mad in the comments if your favourite song ended up in Big Nope.
Did you really like Gehenna? Come on.
Yeah, you're lying to yourself if you did.
The Virus of Life. Come on. You can't have enjoyed that.
Come on. We're all friends here. You can be honest. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and let us know what tier lists you'd like to see. And thanks for watching.